Robby, and I'm going to be streaming the SACA Blitz tournament played on May 14th, 2020. And I'm playing one of my students, or ex-students, I should say, Easy Cash Money. So we're going to provide my comments as the game goes on, and I'll be posting this on my YouTube channel later on. And so please subscribe to it and pass it along to everybody else. I'll try to do this on a more consistent basis. Been a little bit busy lately and had some issues. Yes, I am streaming. Yes, I am. So anyway, okay. So I'm playing this someone who used to be on my Catalina Foothills chess team, and I know what he plays. He plays the Sveshnikov. So I thought we'd maybe kind of mess him up a little bit and try to play something he may not exactly know, that I don't really know either, but I thought I'd mess around with it a little bit. And so we're going to try this and see what he knows about this line. Okay, so this is not an open Sicilian, which is not something I'm not kind of used to playing this. But this is not an open Sicilian in that I did not play D4 in the opening like normal. A6, interesting. So we're going to go ahead and take this guy. We're going to come back. And then he can either play D5 or B5. D5 looks wrong, but it's actually fine. The question is whether I play bishop to B3 here and then play D3 as a follow-up, or do I play bishop D3 and then follow it up with a move like C3? I'm going to go here, actually, but I don't know if that's really in the spirit of the position, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to play bishop D3. So now we have this pawn here on D4 he has to defend. He can play bishop C5. He can play queen B6, okay? So castles. And then we're going to play C3 pretty much no matter what he does now, because when he takes, we have the option of taking back with the B pawn or the D pawn. Interesting. Do I see any value playing B3 here? B3, bishop G7, bishop to B2, and then try to play for F4. Interesting. We're going to give this a shot here. Let's see what we can do. If I play C3, he'll probably take, and I still get a decent attack. You know what? We're going to play the most obvious. We're going to play C3. And I could take with the pawn, the B pawn, and then play bishop C2 and move my other pawn up to D4, but I'm going to do it this way. And the advantage here now is I can play bishop to E3 and gain a tempo, which is a nice tempo to have. And then notice that I'm castled and he's not. So he is subject to a quick F4, F5. I'm not really sure that really does that much. You have to tempo it out and see if it makes any sense. But if the queen moves F4, knight E7, F5, that does get some pressure actually. Queen D8, probably a little wimpy. I probably would have played queen B8 to defend this pawn. A4 is probably a really nice way to get a nice little edge. But the question is, do I go for more here? And we're going to go for more. We're going to try to kill black here and see how he plays this. So yeah, he knows F5 is coming. So knight E7 doesn't really stop it. One thing I might be concerned with, if he does play knight E7, F5, he might play bishop E5, which is kind of positionally a little bit on the annoying side. But I still think white's good there. So this just puts the pressure on him a little bit. He has to come up with a way to play this. And going back to for just a second, the reason I was suggesting A4 before is that when pawn takes and I take back, this A pawn is very, very weak for him. It's isolated. My pawns right here would be together, and that A6 pawn isn't so good. So, okay. So now I have a choice. If I play F5 here, he might have a knight G4 move, which is a little bit on the annoying side. So I'm going to stop that from happening. But you know what? If H3, I think D5 is probably a good move for him. So I wonder if I should play E5 first. Yeah, I'm not thrilled with that either. Knight f6 was a good move on his part. Let's see, can I do anything else here? If e5, knight g4, bishop d4, yeah, he's going to get, if e5, knight g4, bishop c5, queen c7, can't really tempo him with bishop d6 because he has queen a7 check. So what do I do here? h3 is probably the wimpy move. Knight g3 also looks decent. We'll play knight g3. What the heck? My instincts told me to play h3, though. When I look at it later, maybe I'll doubt myself a little bit. So he could play d5 here. And now I either have to play f5, which looks a little dicey. I guess I can maybe get away with it. But the more typical move on d5 would just to play e5. And then he'll have to move his knight. And then I actually have to come up with a plan. So I'm taking my caffeine drink here. Okay, so what's he going to do? Bishop b7 looks interesting. d5. Okay, so that's typical. f5. You could take on e4. I take back. You could take here. We'll play the obvious. We'll go ahead and play e5. Now, bishop d4 obviously is a good preparatory type of move. The question is do I try to kill him on the king side, or do I play positionally with a move like a4? Well, queen g4 and h4 look interesting. I don't want to... h5 is probably a good move at some point, so I don't want to encourage him to do that. I guess we'll play positionally. We'll just play a4. And now he's going to have to take it. And then I probably take with the curve. What do I take with? I'm going to take with the rook and just be logical. Yeah. Although he does have knight b6, which is slightly annoying. Rook b4. We'll try it. What the heck? It's Blitz. So yeah, he's going to have to come with that, all right? And he'll probably castle. And then I'm going to go ahead and play this positionally. I'm going to play queen a1. And basically I'm just going to go after the a6 pawn here. If he plays a5, then that frees up the b5 square, so maybe I have bishop b5 at some point. If a5, I also have b4, which actually just wins a pawn. He actually has no move. So he actually has to, okay, so that's a good move on his part. He realizes that he can't allow that, so I'm going to go ahead and play rook a5. Knight c4 is interesting here. If I had it to do over again, I would have played rook a2. Knight c4 basically forces me to take this, which I really don't want to do because it opens up this diagonal. That was a mistake on my part. Not a disastrous mistake, but something I should have maybe done a little bit better there. This knight on g3 is kind of worthless because I can't play f5. So I'm probably going to have to remaneuver this knight over to d4 at some point. All right. So takes. All right. So now do I gain a tempo with rook d1? Let's do it. Rook d1. He'll probably play queen c7. And then do I have bishop c5 as being annoying with the idea of going to d6? Or I think I want to keep the bishop on this diagonal, control some squares, so I'll probably just play knight e4 no matter what he does here. I mean, assuming he moves his queen, of course. He can't play queen e7 because he loses the exchange to bishop c5. All right, so now we have another hole here on d6. And we're going to try to use that to our advantage. If bishop b7, knight d6, he might play bishop to d5. That kind of plays off of each other, except now I can win the a-pawn if he moves the bishop anywhere. I'm a little, you got to be careful on this diagonal because this queen being on c6 would be a big deal here. Maybe he doesn't even bother moving the bishop, but I really do like that bishop aesthetically, at least. So, what's he going to play here? He's running a little bit low on time. Okay, so rook d8. So he's trying to pin my knight of sorts. So I don't really see that as too much of a problem. What are we going to do here? He might threaten bishop f8, which actually could be a little bit on the annoying side. So I can play rook c5 here, and I could win a pawn, it looks like. I could win the c pawn. All right, we're going to go ahead and do... Oh, okay. Yeah, that looks good. So now he's going to have to move his queen somewhere. Queen probably has to go to e7 or d7, and then I can at least pick off this c pawn. So that's now I'm a pawn up. But now the bishop can go to a good square. But the good thing is now, with this being like this, I can now play c4 and kick the bishop out. So it's not like an amazing... Okay, so he's going to try to play that. So we're going to try to hold that center there. Do I take with the bishop or the pawn? What do you think? I'm going to take back with the pawn, although bishop takes, pawn takes. I'm a little concerned about the queen going to g5. Aha! So I messed up here. Let's go with, we're going to go ahead and, actually, how am I going to defend that? All right, so I royally screwed this up here. So we're going to go ahead and go here, and we're going to play, really messed this up. He's going to play queen g5, which is very strong. Yep. And bishop takes e5 is strong here. Yeah, I messed this up. Yeah, I royally screwed this up. Messed this up big time. And I got to make a decision. I got to do something. I guess I'm going to have to drop a piece here. All right, so now it's going to become a time issue, which is not good for me. But unfortunately, this is what we got to deal with. So yeah, this is just very sloppy on my part. I really messed up. And I gotta watch this stuff here, so we're gonna block this. I don't really want to trade because I'll lose. Okay. Yeah, this is really sad on my part. I really messed this up. So yeah, this is what happens when you screw this up. So now I have to draw a rook ending. So we'll see how he plays this. Got to get my king off the back row. And let's go there. So we're going to have to try to survive this somehow. He wants a draw. So we're going to go ahead and chance this. A little bit on the wimpy side. He really wants a draw really bad, huh? Trying to give him any chance to go wrong here, and he's not like taking any of the bait here. Come back, I guess. I can't really truly play for a win here. This is just like a draw, probably a draw here. If unless he wants to try to play for a win, but he can't play king g4, e4, e3. I can play king f3 and stop things. I mean, even that's good winning chances. All right, so started off the tournament with a draw. I've never done that before, so not a great game, but Black played well. I should have been a little bit more careful in how I was playing that. So, all right, so we're playing. I think I played this person before. I want to say. I think I have. Yes, I have played this person. All right, so we're going to go ahead and play an Alekhine. And this line is, well, this is not an Alekhine anymore because he's playing knight c3. So now we've got basically transposed to an e4, e5 opening where the pieces come out. So yeah, so now he's got to make a decision. He could play f4, which is called the Vienna game. He can play knight f3, which will lead to a 4 knights type of position. All of these are possible. I love how it calls it the Vienna game already. It's not really the Vienna game yet until white plays f4. And I think chess.com actually changes the name of the line, and now they have changed it to a Petrov's. And now it's a 4 knights game. So it does actually change based on what happens in the opening, which is kind of interesting. All right, so takes. So this is a line. This is, I mean, we can call this the 4 knights. It also can be called the Scotch 4 knights. Lots of things that people can call this line. So takes. And then bishop d3 is standard here. I'm going to go ahead and castle. And play this. So this is quite a. I have played this line for white a lot, especially in Blitz, and it's very, very solid. It's hard to beat this line, actually. So my opponent lost a pawn here, which basically allows me to win this, and albeit, unfortunately, my pawns are also doubled. So gotta be. It's not all roses for black, but it is a clean pawn too. So. Just playing queen here, maybe rook d8, or maybe bishop f5, and then bring the other rook in the game. Bishop b2, not so good, just because it's stuck on guarding a pawn. So we can try to deal with that in a number of ways. We can play queen e5. Well, I don't really want to do that. We're going to give him a little tickle with rook b8. Give him something to worry about there. Now he has to defend it. So now the rook is tied down to defending the bishop, which is good. I could play e3. If I play that, is e3 any good here? E3. Sure, we're going to go ahead and try it. What the heck? It's Blitz. And I've been struggling so much in these Blitz tournaments that I've really struggled. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that's not a good move because of takes and then knight e4, and then we have knight f2 threats. See if you guys can find the way out for black here, or for white, I should say. White has one way out of this position that doesn't lose the game. See if you can find it. Pause the video if you're watching. And the move that can get out of it is queen d4, because if knight f2 check, king g1, there's no good discovery. I can play knight h3 check. Okay, well that unfortunately loses the exchange, so this will be a clean exchange. And unfortunately, you see how bad the bishop is here. It would have been much better to maybe bring the bishop to e3 or something like that. So, all right, so now he's getting the pieces out. I'm going to continue to improve my position with the rook going there. Threatens to take this, of course, and this bishop is still annoyingly placed here for him. So yeah. So I think White's real mistake in this game was playing a3 and move 9. You're supposed to maybe take the pawn on d5 before. That's what I've always done. And then you can move your bishop out or something. But this unfortunately dropped a pawn, and he kind of went down the wrong pathway. So, okay. So, what's he going to play here? Honestly, it's really hard to come up with a move here. Yeah. That move is fine, except for I can take here with the bishop. Queen f1. That's still good for me. Or I can play queen takes here. Forks these guys. I think everything's good here. We're going to go ahead and take this guy. I don't see a way out for him. And plus, I mean, both moves were forcing, frankly. Bishop takes c2 and queen takes c2 were both forcing. But I think it's just a matter of choice. They're just both crushing. The queen here threatens queen takes rook because my bishop's guarding it. So if on any queen move, I take here. And if he trades, I take with the bishop. Hits the rook, and if the rook moves, it drops the bishop on b2. So, yep. So maybe I'll actually win a game here. How many people did we have tonight? We only had 13 tonight. Smaller turnout than I'm accustomed to seeing. That's kind of surprising, actually. But okay, maybe everyone has enough Amazon gift cards. Who knows? So yeah, he's gonna have to come with a move here. Probably the best thing to do is actually resign. I thought I pre-moved that. Yeah. So now, wherever the rook moves, unless it's here, I'm gonna take the bishop. So let's not be presumptuous and and pre-move there. Okay, so that's okay then. Yep. So now we're up a rook, and then I can play rook b1 and trade off. But we're going to take a little bit time out first to play a more preparatory move. Not preparatory, but just to save my rook. And then I can play rook b1 and trade off the rooks, and he's in trouble. Or I can play rook d1 either way, actually. Okay, well, not either way, because I can't do that now, so I just got to do this one. So we're going to trade this guy's off. Maybe my opponent resign, we'll see. Not yet. Okay. So we're going to tie that bishop down, and we're going to go ahead and sack and just get this to something decent. So yeah, this is just a matter of technique here. We'll go here and win another pawn. Nope, we're going to go here first. No pass pawns. And now we move the bishop out of the way, so there's no stalemate tricks. And as long as we don't stalemate them, we're in good shape. And we can be cute here and mate him with a bishop. So yeah, so that was that game. Okay, so we're gonna have round 3 soon. We're playing 5 rounds today, and 15 people. So yeah, so it looks like there's going to be a lot of interplay amongst the top players pretty quickly, actually. Let's see how's this game going. I don't want to see an evaluation. I just want to see the game. Jarmax is winning, so that should be a win for him. Yep, it's going to be close to winning. Queen h1 and Queen f1 should do it. So that should be pretty good. And let's see who else. Other games are still going. Okay, Rohan and Zach playing again. I think they played last week, and I think they might have even played the week before. But all right, so here we got Black is down a piece, but White's pieces are a little undeveloped. Zach will probably play knight f3 check here, although it only makes the king move. I don't really see a follow-up to it. I guess king f1's forced here. Ooh. King f1, queen c4 maybe? There's no knight move that goes good. Yeah, I think Rohan shouldn't have allowed this. Could have maybe gotten a little bit better in the technique. But as you guys all know, this is Blitz. And in Blitz, anything can happen. I guess knight h4, but that looks clumsy. Although knight h4, king moves, and then knight f5. Oh, my goodness. That's a queen. Uh-oh. Wow. I actually didn't even see that. Wow. So, yeah. So now he can sack his queen. He can sack his queen on g8. Knight h4 check. King g3 takes. King takes h4. Yeah, keep that knight, because otherwise White would have just taken the knight on f3. It's forced. And now are there any forks? King takes h4 is forced. Is there any checks here? Okay, so Zach's going to go ahead and win the b pawn. And White has to get that check. And I would have pre-moved that probably, just to gain a little bit of time. So yeah, so the only risk that I mean, Rohan has 3 pieces. The problem is he's going to lose almost every one of his pawns, and so this will be interesting to see how this is. This is by no means a slam dunk for White here, but the pawns are good. I mean, obviously black is better here because of those. Yeah, once d5, d4, or d5, e4 type of moves start coming in, then all of a sudden that can spell trouble. And of course, having the extra pass pawn is probably fatal. Zach messed up and allowed that little trick. Rohan's very resourceful. Probably he played. Okay. So this now gets a little crazy. Take it there, yeah, and then bishop c3 is a nice way to stop everything. So now I think all of a sudden it got problematic. Okay, losing that pawn too. I have no idea why Zach did that. Okay, well, he did it to win that, but I think now it's going to be really hard to win because that rook and knight are very, very good. And Zach offers a draw, interestingly. See if Rohan takes it. I would. I think he's probably losing here. Probably doesn't want to take the draw because Rohan hates draws. But objectively, this is probably maybe it's a draw by, but it would take some amazing technique to win that. So, okay, so who else is still playing? We got Constantly, one of my former students who just started playing, getting himself up again, playing one of my other former students. But yeah, here we're down 2 pawns, and black has 2 extra pawns, which is kind of a big deal. And notice how the rook defends everything. So now The rook defends both this pawn and this pawn here. So now, what does... okay, so he's doing that. Not 100% sure I would have done that, but sure, this looks okay. I mean, it gets a little crazy now. Rook, king, c4. Rook takes g2. Rook takes f7. That's potentially a problem, right? Because I guess he's going to win that second pawn. Ooh, I wouldn't have done that. I would have played rook g3 and then won the second pawn for sure. A little bit of sloppy technique here, but I'll forgive Sean for this. Yeah, so now it's going to be c pawn and g pawn. I guess this is winning, maybe. I don't know. I think Sean kind of messed this up. But anyway, that's Blitz for you. Anybody else still playing? Got another game going still here. And we're gonna close this guy. So this is one of those where it's going to go on for a little bit because White clearly has the upper hand, but not so easy. I think rook d8 and rook d3 could threaten to get the rook d3. Not sure why Black didn't play rook d3 and just e3 or something, but that bishop on e3 is a rock, but rook e2 gets a draw. Yep, because you can take there, draw, and that's that game. Dolger offers a draw. Okay, so we'll close that baby. And that's my game, so we don't care about that. All right, so now the king is cut off, but the problem is that against rook h3, there's no way to defend the pawn in time. Okay, so he can play king f5. Well, king f5 was actually technically a little more accurate, but now if king g6, rook takes h4, the check, just king g3, and you can't get the king in. So, yep. King g5 is an easy draw now. And now you just take the pawn. And okay, so who's next? How many more games are there? Okay. Jarmax. Okay, so I'm playing a perfect score and someone who beat me before, so there will be no mercy in this game. Let's go. We're going to go ahead and play e4. He always plays the perk. So let's go ahead and play this. And let's go ahead and play the Austrian attack, which I don't normally play against him. And something I'm not quite familiar with. I do know that bishop b5 check is sort of a messy line here. And we're going to play this queen d4 move, which I have seen before, but I actually don't know anything else after this. So this is one of those lines that's a little strange. But it is an attempt to try to refute what Black does. And this thing is so, it's extremely... so the idea here is if c takes d, that knight takes e4 could be lethal, and I'm sure there's a lot of theory that relates to that. So I actually do not know what the move is here at all. I'm kind of embarrassed. But let's go ahead and play bishop d2. It looks harmless enough. And so I guess the idea behind this line, although again, as I said, I have never played this before in a tournament game, maybe once in Blitz or something, is to make Black take with the pawn or to make him take with the queen, so that when we go here, or so that when these pawns are traded, I have a simple e5 break. So here we're going to go ahead and play queen c4. And now, if bishop e6, I have knight d5 maybe. Queen takes c5, takes. Knight c7 gives him some kind of bad pawns. All right, so now we're gonna the question is whether I can prove an advantage after this, because now I do get e5 in, and the knight does have to go to sort of an awkward square. We're gonna go ahead and do this. Just trying to improve our pieces here. Just trying to get a little bit of a, the downside of playing this e5 move is that once the knight moves, he can play f6 and tempo me. But I'm not too worried about that. So here I could sack a pawn, but I don't think it's really in the spirit of the position really to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and castle queenside and then let black try to find a move here. All right, so there. So I can attack this pawn here on c5, which is annoying for him. Bishop b5 is possible, although he might just play knight d4. Definitely not being familiar with these positions can be a detriment. If knight e4, bishop f5 takes, he has rook c8. Does he get anything out of that? Hard to believe, right? We're going to go ahead and do it. We're just going to attack the c5 pawn. So now, the onus is on him to find a move here. And I guess he could play c4, but that pawn is sticking out like a sore thumb. It looks very, very precariously placed. So yeah, so he did try to defend it. And he's probably banking on the fact that he's going to play bishop f5. So I'm going to go ahead and play knight c5 and annoy him here. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and play knight c5, and that at least defends, not defends, but ties down the pawn or the bishop to the c8 square, guarding that pawn. So he might play rook b8 or something like that, and then I have to develop one of my pieces. So yeah, maybe I didn't get quite as much as I was thinking I was going to out of this. If just simply rook b8, I'm not quite thrilled with my position. You know what I probably play on rook b8? I probably play b3, and I just say, I'm going to get rid of that pawn. And, okay, so he does that instead. So that's fine. It's a developing move. I can play bishop e2 here. I can play bishop e3. We're going to go ahead and play bishop e2. And it's nothing exciting, I know, but it develops a piece. We're completing our development. It makes him less likely to now move the bishop, of course, because I can take on b7 with tempo. So I think rook b8 is probably the most natural move in this position. And then what I might do is play a little prophylactically and play h3 and stop him from getting his bishop out to f5, because I can just play g4 and tempo him. So just try to make him feel a little bit uncomfortable here. I remember when I first saw this line that I really liked it for white, but then I sort of remember looking at it and thinking black had some lines where he could get some compensation, and it looked like black was having all the fun. And of course, why would you play a line like that when you're giving your opponent all the chances? So interesting call here. His knight can't really move from here or from here, because that drops this. If the knight b6 knight moves, it drops his pawn. This knight doesn't really have any good squares to go to. So I think he's probably debating rook b8 or f6. That's what I would be looking at myself. If I had to guess, what would I think he would play? Definitely wouldn't have played e6, because now it makes it harder to play f6. So let's see if we can capitalize on this advantage, because that does really kill the bishop there. I could play bishop e3, but then he'll play knight d5. Definitely not thrilled with that. There's no bishop a. Ideally, I'd like to attack that c pawn, but I don't see how to do it. I need a lifeline. Who's helping me? If knight g5. All right, I'm going to play knight g5. I know why he played there. he played knight g5. I mean, he played bishop e6 to play bishop f8 perhaps and get rid of my... So if I play knight g5, bishop f8, I could then... I could bring my other knight to e4. I think that's what we're going to do. Yeah, so we're going to try to thwart what he might try to do here. Although if knight ge4, he has rook d5. But then I have bishop e3, trade, knight d5. I think we can do that. Let's go ahead and do it. Oh yeah, what am I talking about? Rook d5 would be terrible because I have knight f6 check, so you can't do that. Oh boy. So he's going to have to come up with a move here. What's he going to do? Okay, knight e7. I guess he wants his knight to get to d5 really badly. So we can play knight d6, but then he might have knight d5 anyway. But I can take on b7, take. Yeah, maybe. We're going to go here. We're going to play bishop f3. So if he plays knight d5... Oh, but I have to trade that stupid thing, don't I? I don't want to take with the... All right, we're going to bring a knight. We're going to bring our knight back into the game. I'm going to try to keep stuff on the board if possible. Now if he trades, I have the option of taking with the pawn. I'm not really 100% thrilled with that, but... yeah, so I gave up my advantage here. I messed up. So we're going to have to... We're just going to have to play a decently close middle game here. So I didn't take advantage of this the best way I could, it looks like. Needed to be probably a little more finer, have some more finer points. So now he's threatening to take that guy. Yikes. So I guess... Oh yeah, we got to go faster here, don't we? Okay. So now we got to worry about some potential tricks there. So we're going to get off of that that guy there. H5 is probably reasonable. Yeah, so this is going to become a little bit of a maneuvering game. And as I said, I'm definitely not happy with the way I played this. Okay, so he's threatening to take and win a piece. So I could save this guy. Yeah, we're going to go there. And the idea here is to play bishop c5 and trade off the dark squared bishops. And then I can maybe get my knight to f6. So this is at least somewhat encouraging here. All right, we're going to come back in. And now everything's defended at least. Taking on b6, yeah. can't really move my knight, though. So I guess we got to play rook d1, I guess. Okay, so thank goodness we have some increment here. But I got to make sure I'm not screwing this up. Okay, let's do this. Okay, got to go faster here. So clearly I can't take. So this wins the exchange back. He can keep the bishop or the... I'd probably keep... Yeah, that's what I would have done too. So if he plays B, yeah. Okay, we're going to come back here. All right, so a little bit of technique is needed here. Make sure I don't screw this up. Make sure everything's guarded. And probably have to open up the file at some point. I'm just going to go... Actually, it's like, can I get in here? I think I can, actually. Let's go in here. And that threatens rook a5 and then rook a7. And then what I'm trying to do here, also rook a5 threatens rook a4, which wins the c pawn. And that will be fatal. Because once I get those guys going, I'm good. Let's go here. So do we give him a little tickle with rook here? Or do I play... Let's go here. Yep, and so we're going to play a4 check here. And then we're going to go here. And we're going to win this guy. Yep. And we're going to take... Do we take or do we play bishop c5? Go ahead and take this guy. So now I just got to move my rook somewhere. Here, I guess. Okay, so that was a much tougher game than I expected, because usually, you know, with white you have some advantage, but I didn't get an advantage like I wanted to. And I'm playing Zach, and I always play Zach, always. Except I think I've been white in most of those games. So, okay, Zach. Hello. Have we played before? I think it's almost every time. Almost every time. All right, so we're going to play, go back to our roots and play the Caro-Kann, which I know Zach loves playing as the Caro-Kann. It's one of his favorites, actually. Do I want to take that move back? You know what? I'll stick with that move for just a little bit, but maybe we could have a couple takebacks later. Okay, so here we have a Caro-Kann, and so this is known as the exchange variation, and it's very, very respectable line. Actually, it's gotten a lot of popularity recently amongst the stronger players. So here, the idea is to stop bishop g4 from being played, so now I have to kind of fianchetto. And so this is just going to be sort of a a solid type of game. And then I can play knight h6 here and play knight f and bishop f5, but I think just knight f6 is safest. And now he kind of has to come with a good, okay, so that's fine. So knight f6, developing his pieces, and I can play bishop f5 or I can castle. I'm going to play bishop f5 first. Gotta be a little careful playing moves like this. And you might think, well, why am I doing this? Well, really, I'm trying to get rid of his good bishop, and this is my bad bishop. And so these pawns being on dark squares makes that. Okay, so here he's gonna, we're gonna take those guys off the board. And then we're gonna do rook b8. And the point of that move, if you've never seen it before, is to play what's called the minority attack. And you basically want to play b5, b4, and play b takes c and give him a bad pawn. Here, let's see, are there any tricks I have to know about here? So I can't play b5 because he takes and takes here. Okay, so that's his idea. Well, interesting, because he's threatening. If I play e6, I'm kind of worried about bishop f4, to be honest. And then if knight h5, he's got bishop h2. If I take, he can play de. I don't really. That's not what I'm looking for in this at all. Let's see, what else can we do here? So maybe rook b8 wasn't a good move on my part. Bad move. Okay, so let's just, we're going to be a little clumsy here, because I really don't know how I'm going to, well, I guess I could play rook c8 and just take with the pawn if he takes me. Okay, we're going to play rook c8. It's tough to admit sometimes that you've made a mistake, but I definitely made a mistake here. So So let's see, what's he going to do? If he brings his other knight to f3, which looks very logical, I probably will play knight e4, and that's annoying. So this knight kind of this knight on d2 keeps me out of playing knight e4. So I guess this is okay. If bishop f4, do I have to play? Well, what you gonna do? Okay, so I have to take with the pawn, of course, and so look here, what he's trying to do is going for a hole here, but I think knight e4 is a good counter to that, because now that holds that square. The question is, do I play e5 after this? I'm a little worried about f3 possibly coming in, so I have to be careful about that. If bishop h4, I actually have queen f4, which would be really an annoying move, actually, for him to face, because that he has a hard time moving his has a hard time moving his bishop. So bishop e3 is even though it looks really passive, is probably his best move here. So we'll see if Zach finds that. Okay, so he didn't see that one and probably missed the idea of queen f4 here, because positionally this is very good for me, because now it's really, I'm threatening to take this pawn with check if the bishop moves down to e7, because I can take here. And then a really cool trick is if king h1, I can take the rook on e1 and play knight f2. All right, so here I'm pretty much forced to take this guy. And he's going to trade queens. And so I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take him up on that offer. And the advantage of doing that, of course, is that the pawns are weak on the king side. But he still has this annoying outpost. So I'm probably going to try to break that with e5 at some point. But easier said than done. I'm not going to, e6 would probably be a waste, so I'm going to go ahead and play rook e8, and I'll give him something to worry about, because now I can try to play for e5. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do that, I think. I don't see any reason not to. I got my tactical juices there. Okay, yeah, I think that's okay. And so the question is, do I take with the rook or do I take with the bishop? If I take with the bishop, the question is, do I want to trade rooks is really what it really boils down to. I would say if he take, I think he has to take, though. I don't really think he has a choice. Does he? Lots of games still going. Okay, so he has to make a choice here. Is he going to play? He's going to play there or not? He's going to take. Bishop takes. Knight d7. Bishop back to g7. Takes. Okay, I'm okay with that, so I don't see any worries there. So let's go ahead and do this, I guess. I think we're going to go ahead and do it that way. If knight d7, bishop takes g3 would be a big blunder because of knight f6, and I would lose my exchange, and I'd be probably losing. So on knight d7 would be only a tactical type of move. All right, so we don't have any discoveries. So we're going to go ahead and kick this bishop out of there because I kick the knight out of c5 because it's annoying. I expect knight d3 will be played. So I'm going to play h5 here. And I'm doing that to stop g4 because I don't want him to play g4. I want to make use of the fact that these pawns are on bad squares here. So, okay, so he's offering a trade. And then he could offer the rook trade again. Objectively, that ending is probably a little bit better for me, but probably not worth it enough to win. So we're going to go and play rook b8. And we're going to try to keep pieces on the board. It's my bishop is better than the knight because it does stop the penetration on the 7th rank, or on the e-file, I should say, and a rook getting to the 7th rank. The bishop is well placed here, but it can also be annoying too. So here he has to make a decision. How is he going to defend this b pawn? If he plays b3, then it weakens c3, and so that makes that a target. Rook e2 is probably objectively the best way to play this because it doesn't create any weaknesses. Okay, a3 I'm a little surprised about, but it's not horrible. But I'm a little worried about the, okay, so we're just going to go ahead and continue to make our pieces better. Okay, so here he really wants me to take. So if I take AB, A5, takes, rook takes B2, he can play rook E2 and rook over, and that's not good for me. If I play rook to B, all right, we're going to defend the pawn, I guess. Yeah, I'm gonna reserve that kind of tactical stuff for later. I have a5 here, which is probably pretty good, and then going back, and that creates the knight has to go back and stuff, so probably not so good. Now he's trying for c4 maybe at some point, so I'm going to go ahead and play a5 and kick him out of there. Sacrificing would be not good. All right, so do we play rook b8? Do we play c5? c5, I'm a little worried about this d pawn, so we can go ahead and advance the king, I think. All right, let's do it. And so now white has to decide, do I go for anything, or do I just try to keep the tension? As soon as I play rook e8, he's going to play rook e1, trying to trade. So I definitely don't want to do that. All right, so interesting decision. I'm not gonna cooperate. I'm gonna play here first, or am I? If I take, he might take with the C pawn actually. But then I've got rook A8. So we're gonna go here. We're gonna go rook A8, and we're gonna make him wonder when I'm gonna take there. So I think that's a smart strategy, because now he has to decide what he's gonna do. He's always going to have to worry about me playing AB. So that was probably the safest choice to do for him, is to just keep the balance. If takes, now he has to take with the A pawn. If I play rook A3, rook C2, I have some advantage there, but not enough, I don't think. Let's give him one more thing to think about. Let's make him make a decision where it's not obvious what I play. All right, so he's going to try to trade off. So if I take and take, and then take and take, and I play rook here, we're going to go ahead and try this. And I have to start playing a little faster. So yeah, so now he has to decide where he's going to put his rook. Okay, so now that is a target. We're going to go here and make sure that he can't do anything about that. Or do I play? Yeah, I'm going to go here first. Yeah. Oh, that was not smart what I just did. Okay, so we're going to have to play a little faster here. We're gonna make this H pawn a weakness now, make it a target at least. And I'm going to come here. And so rook D1 is clearly a threat here. And he's a little tied down here because he can't move the C pawn or the B pawn. I guess he can go there, sure. Let's go here and attack the pawn. And we're going to go for a cheap mate if he plays rook D3. Actually, we could go here and tie him down more, but let's go here instead. And unfortunately, that drops a pawn. And it drops a second one. Yeah, so unfortunately, the time pressure ended up getting the best of Zach here. But he did actually defend very well here. And now I just got to make sure I don't screw this up. So let's go here, offer a trade, go here. And now the king is shut down. All right, so he's being a little bit on the annoying side. We'll come over here, come there, and then we're going to get our other pass pawn going. Or not. You're not going to let me. All right, rook there. Let's go here, I guess. And now the king is cut off too. So yeah, Zach actually defended very well, or held very solid, but unfortunately it's not going to be enough here. We're going to take this guy. And yeah. Let's go there, I guess. And now we're going to go king c1 and play king d or d1 queen. So yeah, defended very well, but unfortunately made that one real quick slip there. So okay, so how many games are still going? All right, so what are the standings here? So we got 2 3.5s. And that's Rohan and myself. Okay, Rohan. And Rohan and I are doing the Beat the Coach tomorrow on Chess Kid. And so we'll be playing that. So make sure you tune into that if you're watching this video in time. And so now we're going to play a Sicilian against Rohan. I know he loves to play against a Sicilian, loves the open Sicilian. If he doesn't play knight f3 and d4, there should be an investigation immediately to see if this is actually Rohan playing the game, because Rohan loves tactics. And of course, he disappoints me. He goes into a close Sicilian. All right, fine. That's fine. It's all good. So the close Sicilian is obviously not the open Sicilian in that he's not playing d4. So here we're going to have to play kind of a slower type of game. This is definitely not a tactical game, at least to start, but it can develop into one. So here he's playing like a true close Sicilian. And so the question in these positions is b5, b4. That's generally what you're supposed to do in these lines. I would say, yeah, b5, b4. And the point of that is basically to make this diagonal weaker. So we're going to go ahead and try to open things up a little bit. And then basically when you play b5, b4, it does open up the bishop to go to a6 and get on this diagonal, which can be a little bit on the annoying side. Rohan played a kind of a more, I guess it's an inferior way of playing the close Sicilian because of this. But okay, I mean, there's lots of ways to play these lines. So knight f5. So I'm tempoing the bishop here, and then if once the bishop moves, I will go ahead and play bishop to b7 and defend, or I could play queen c7, I suppose. But I'm going to go ahead and play bishop b7. There's no reason not to. And so now he has to make a decision. Am I going to play bishop g1 or b? Okay, that's a good, interesting decision. I can't play d5 here to defend my knight because this b pawn drops. So bishop b7 I think is pretty logical here. It defends this knight here, and all that. I guess queen c7 would have been okay. Probably he's going to play knight d2 because that's what they mostly play in positions like this. And so, what I have to do is I have to try to generate some counterplay here. Now, one of the funky things in these lines is that in these close Sicilian lines, this pawn right here is annoying for black. Yeah, so he's going to try to open up the center. Generally, what you do is you take, and you open everything up. The question is there something better here? So if BC, if he takes with the knight, takes. I mean, not amazing. Are there other tricks I got here? I mean, the downside, of course, of playing pawn takes pawn is that the knight can come out freely as opposed to the knight having to go here and there, and that takes 2 moves as opposed to, letting him develop for free. So let's see what we can do here. Let's see. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're not going to take this guy. We're going to take this guy instead. And I'm going to play queen to... Oh, I'm not going to play queen there because I'm... Yeah, that was... Yeah, so I kind of... My whole plan there was completely faulty. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and develop our rook. Got to keep up the pressure here. I wanted to play queen b6, but I forgot he could play d5, so not the smartest choice on my part. So can I play bishop a6 here and threaten to win a pawn? I think so. I think bishop a6 is a good move here because it threatens to take, and win this guy. Here, take on d4, and that knight will be very well placed there. So now he has to find a way to defend that. I guess knight b3 is probably the most logical way to defend d4. The problem with it is it's passive. The knight has no future from that square. So I wonder, we got to start looking at, now you start looking at whether you can take on e5. Because if takes, I trade queens and I win. So if takes fe, I could technically take on e5. And if pawn takes queen, rook takes queen, and then bishop takes e2. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I think that's pretty strong here. So now I think he's in a little bit of trouble here. I think, at least. I've said that before. Won't be the last time. Won't be the last time I'm wrong either. Yeah, so he's got to take that way. So the question is, do I take with the knight? Is there any problem with that? Takes, queen takes, or fd1, bishop takes e2. I mean, that's pretty good play there, I think. So I think we're going to go ahead and take this guy. Knight c5, I can probably just take on e2 if I need to. Actually, if knight c5, I can take on c5. Yeah, so, yeah, unfortunately, White's a little passive here. Black's, you notice how all of Black's pieces are active? The bishop on a6, the bishop on g7, the two knights on f5 and e5 are very active here. And Black is a little bit more passive here. This bishop on g1 is out of the way, but it's not really doing anything. And if he doesn't take here, which he shouldn't, or actually maybe he should, but if he does take here, I'm going to be able to get material, and if he doesn't, then that pawn on d4 is stuck. So I can play like knight to c4, knight to d3, knight g4, all sorts of attacking ideas. So let's see what happens here. All right. So my radar is going off in terms of the potential ideas I have here. Knight d3 wins the b pawn for sure. After knight d3, rook f1, knight takes b2, and my knight's not trapped. The question is knight g4 any better? Knight g4 threatens knight e3. He could play, if he plays queen d2. I'm just going to play the obvious move. There's probably other moves that are good here, but there's no reason not to play this. Knight c4 is also a candidate move too, because it threatens this and the fork. But I think this is just solid. Yeah, I think this is solid for me here because it's simple in that it attacks the rook. If the rook moves, the knight goes here. The queen still is tied down to guarding that knight, so there's still some future possibilities for me. So, okay, so let's see if we can convert this. Yeah, he's got to go there. And do we have anything better? No, we don't have time to look for things better, because when you have an advantage. All right, so now do I play knight d3, knight c4, or knight a4? I'm going to go, oh, I know what he wants to do. So knight c4, queen takes b2. I have knight e3, rook moves. You know what? I think that's going to be really strong for me. And knowing Rohan, he'll go for that b pawn in 2 seconds. Yeah. So unfortunately for Rohan's position, losing that first pawn was bad, but the second pawn is just a product of losing the first pawn. So yeah, so no matter even if his queen, no matter where the queen goes, I'm going to play knight e3, which automatically has a discovery on the bishop on e2, or the knight on e2, and it threatens the bishop on g2. It threatens the rook on f1. If I'm able to take here, that means the queen can go to d5 or bishop could go to b7, and there's checkmate threats. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that Rohan has to worry about here. So, yep. And the problem is I don't see a defense for him here, unfortunately. Okay, so queen d3. So if I move my knight, if the knight moves, then I drop this guy. So I'd have to have a really good reason for doing that. Here, takes. I don't see it. I could play queen. So if I play queen b6 to defend my bishop, he'll play knight c5. And I could play bishop to b5, and I think I'm okay there. I only paused for a few seconds because the bishop on b5 does guard d7, so I want to make sure that he doesn't have knight c7 forking me. So yeah. So now that the bishop is guarded, if he doesn't play knight c5, then anywhere my knight move, if he doesn't play knight c5, anywhere my knight moves, I have a discovery, and so there's potential tactics there too. So okay. Hopefully all you guys are enjoying all the SACA Blitz tournaments. You know, this is it's run by just a few number of people, and the Southern Arizona Chess Association is trying to provide a method for people to play during this time when everything's really slow because of the coronavirus and all that. So, all right, so bishop b5. All right, so I have I can move my knight anywhere. Knight here looks good. I think that wins the exchange. Do I have anything better? Probably not. Well, maybe I do, but we're just going to do it anyway. Yeah, we're going to have to go there. And so now I'm going to probably, I could take the bishop. So if the queen moves, I could, if I go here, take, check. I'm just going to go here. All right, and then I think the important thing is to get rid of that light-scored bishop. Oh, actually, you know what? I should have taken. Yeah, so I kind of messed this one up, but whatever. So I could take here, I suppose. So if ED, he wants to play knight d7. That's his idea. And get a discovery. If I take here, that's two clean pawns. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and take this guy instead. So yeah, so the bishop's going to move. And then I have knight e3. Let's make sure there's no tricks, because Rohan is very tricky. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that, actually. Okay, before I get myself in trouble, we're going to need to calculate a little bit here. So now we're looking for discoveries. Are there any? Okay, we're going to go there. Hang the B pawn. That wasn't smart. I try to be quiet so I can actually focus. Yeah, we're going to try to simplify things just a little bit here. And let's trade these guys off. Oops. So I got a little sloppy there, didn't I? Not smart, Robby. But that should do it. Yeah, I completely screwed up and allowed the f-pawn to fall there. Yeah, so that was, I kind of messed that up a little bit, but, you know, believe it or not, it's actually very difficult to stream and actually try to play good chess at the same time. So, yeah, I got first. I got clear first, it looks like. And second place is Puppy Dog, who got me for a draw in the previous tournament. Played very well, or I think 2 tournaments ago, I guess. And then Rohan got third. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And I'll be posting this on YouTube. Please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and provide any comments. And then I'll try to see you next time, the next Thursday Blitz tournament. So thanks, everybody, and talk to you soon. Thanks.